Hey everyone, how are you doing today? How are you doing today? Let me know in the chat how you're doing. Thank you to all our viewers on Facebook and Instagram, on YouTube. And unfortunately, I'm so sorry I would not be streaming um, to Instagram today. However, once we are done here, I am going to upload this. I'm going to upload this video to. Um, I'm going to upload this video for sure to Instagram for sure. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just yeah. How are you doing and how are you enjoying the summer so far? Yeah, let me know. Are you doing anything different? Are you doing something you have not done before? Are there things? Remember last week when I was here, I was talking about the summer guide for parents, and one of the things that one of on the worksheet, one of the things that I had written there was for you as a parent or as a caregiver to also come up with something that you are going to do this summer, something that you've been putting away because of you're busy taking care of your children, you're busy taking care of other people. And so there was a space there for you as a parent, for you as a caregiver to come up with some things you were willing to complete this summer as well too. So not just for your children, but also for you as well. What is that one thing that you would want to do? What is that one thing that you would want to, you would want to complete? So yeah, so you have something as well to, something that you want to do as well too. So that's it. So today I would still continue in our DBT series, but in the last few DBT series, we have been looking at the distress tolerance. And so we've done a lot, we've covered a lot on the distress tolerance. And so today, we're going to be looking at emotional regulation. When it comes to emotional regulation, we're going to look at how do we recognize our emotions? How do we recognize emotions? How do I recognize emotions? How do I teach my team? How do I teach my children? How do even I as a parent, how do I recognize emotions? So, yeah, so sit with me. It's We're gonna learn this together for sure. How do we recognize, or how do we recognize emotion? The one thing about the DBT, which is a dialectical behavioral therapy, which is an intervention that is used to manage, or that is used as a resource in helping individuals that are struggling with their emotions, that are struggling with overwhelming situations, that are struggling with interpersonal relationship or issues, that are also struggling with just being present, right? And so another aspect of the DBT is called the emotional regulation. And so with the emotional regulation, these are some of the tools that we teach the clients we see. These are some of the tools that I teach the people that I work with, that I teach some parents and how to use it with their children, or even on themselves as well too, right? You will agree with me that sometimes there are times when we all need to, first of all, regulate ourselves in order to, you know, um, be there or support our children. And so the first step of recognizing our emotion or teaching your teen how to recognize the emotion will be asking them to describe the situation. You know, think about the situation from the past, or so an example, we think about the situation from the past where you felt overwhelmed with lots of emotions, right? It could be anything, or it could be any aspect of life. It could be all the things that have happened. You know, ask them to describe the situation. You know, what happened, right? Where did it happen? And who was involved? So that's how you're asking, you're teaching them to describe, the situation. So let me put it out here. So the first step is to describe the situation. So like I said, what happened? Where did it happen? Who were involved? So these are some of the questions you're asking your teen, you're asking your children, you're asking even you yourself too. You could write it down, describing the situation, write it, what happened, where did it happen, who and who was involved. And then the next step, which is a step two, is to ask what caused the situation? What caused the situation? So I said the first step here is describe. Describe the situation. So that's the first step. I'm just actually putting it out there so that the first step, like I said, was describe the situation, and then the second step was, what caused what caused the situation. So you could say the problem, you know, you could say the situation. So you're asking after they finish describing, you're asking what caused the situation. Allow them write, allow them tell you, or maybe even you writing it, write down the thoughts of what you were thinking that caused the situation, explain it in a way that would, you know, that would, that will shape the emotion of the situation. Try to remember, the situation of what you think were the main aspect or the main reason, or what were the main, thing, the main issue that caused the situation. And then the next one is what we call the primary and the secondary emotions. The primary and the secondary emotions. So the primary, because a lot of times is that in most cases when things are happening or when something has happened, in most cases the emotions that we can feel could also be a primary emotions or could also be a secondary emotion. Now, when you described the issue and what you think had caused it, you know, now it is now time for you to describe how you felt, right? So let's say, you know, um, let's say something happened, and you felt disappointed at someone, right? So you felt disappointed at someone. The primary emotion is the first emotion you felt. The first emotion you felt. So let's say because you were disappointed at somebody, the first emotion you felt was disappointment, right? So that was the first emotion you felt. And then sometimes it's possible that when you feel disappointed, not long after, sometimes you can feel anger, you can feel hatred, and sometimes that could eventually sometimes results to being depressed, right? So now think about it. The first emotion you felt about someone, and an example will be you were disappointed at that person. And then the secondary emotion after that was that you became angry towards that person. you resented that person, you felt maybe hatred for that person, and all of a sudden eventually it led to you just being sad, just being depressed. So it's important to help your team identify the primary emotion and also the secondary emotion. So the primary emotion is the first emotion you felt during that overwhelming situation, or you know, during that stressful time. And then the next step that you can walk your team through will be helping them to identify their urge. So identify your urge. So in this case, when we talk about identify your urge or your urges, when we talk about identifying your urges, it's what did you do? What did you do as a result of the emotions you felt? So this is not necessarily doing anything, but also it could also be what was the first thoughts that came to your mind as a result of the emotions you felt. So keep in mind with with our example is that you were disappointed at someone, and the first the first emotion you felt was disappointment, and then later the secondary emotions you felt was, you felt hatred, you felt anger, and eventually it led to being depressed, right? And so when it comes to identifying the urges, like identifying the urges, you know in this case is that what was the first thought that came, to your mind? What was the first thought that came to your mind? What was the first thought that came to your mind? So that is what you do. It's not the action you did, but the thought that came to your mind, right? That's the way you identify your urge. What was your urge as a result of that emotion you felt? Remember, you felt disappointed, you felt anger, you felt hatred, you felt sad and depressed. Now, the urge was, what was the thought that came to your mind? And then the next thing is, what did you do? Right? So this is where the action comes in. What did you do? Right? So this is the action. You know, you felt, you described the situation, you looked at what caused it, you were able to identify the primary and the secondary emotions. You were also able to identify the urges that were attached to that emotion. The next step is, what did you do? So now you're trying to break all this down for your teams. You're trying to break this all down for your children. You're trying to show them as a parent or as a caregiver, or even you as a youth or as a young adult using this for yourself, even as a caregiver. What you're trying to do is that you're trying to make them see what they did for every phase of this, of recognizing these emotions, right? So that is what you're doing. What did you do? What was the action you took as a result of the emotions you felt, as a result of the thoughts you had? What did you do? And then the last one on that, recognizing our emotions, is the outcome. What was the outcome? What was the outcome, as a result of the emotions you felt, as a result of the urges, the thoughts you had, as a result of the actions you took? What was the outcome? So an example would be, having like a usual day, having like a usual day at work, and coming home where you live alone. This is maybe for a young adult, and coming home where you live alone, and what caused this, and then you're just sad, You're just sad about, the day. What caused the situation is that it was a boring day, and then you're back home where you live alone and you have nothing to do. You avoid doing things because you don't want to put yourself out there. So the emotions you're feeling is that you're bored, right? Because you're alone, and that feeling could lead to just sadness, and sometimes it could lead to just you being disappointed, right? And then how do we identify the urge? And so the first thought that comes into your mind is that you're just gonna sit and watch. You're not gonna do anything productive. You're just gonna sit and watch TV all day. And then what were the actions you did? You actually sat down there, watched TV all day, and what did you do? You actually did that, right? And so what was the outcome for you? The outcome was that you were not able to make that evening or that day productive. Why? Because of all the other things that had happened, right? And so these are the steps that you can use, you as a caregiver, you as a young adult, even as a teen. You can teach your teen, you can teach your children. Remember the first step in recognizing our emotions. Remember that everybody do have emotions. Emotions are a way in which we express how we feel. Emotions are things that that tells somebody how I feel. Emotion is a way of communicating, right? So those are emotions are really important, and every emotion is important. Every emotion is important. And so in this case, when it comes to the emotional regulation with the DBT, is that you are teaching you're teaching your child, you're teaching your teen, you're teaching yourself, even you as a parent, as a caregiver, how to identify, emotion, how to recognize emotion. Remember that that was our topic. How do we recognize our emotions? So the first step is to describe the situation. The second step is to recount what caused the situation. And the third step is to identify the primary and the secondary emotions. And then the fourth step is to identify the urges. And then the fifth step is what did you do? And then the sixth step, which is the last one, is what was the outcome. And so, yeah, so use this strategies, use this tip, and send me an email with regards to how it went for you and your family. And if you're needing extra support, or if you're needing extra help, send send me an send me an email on send me an email on info@blisscounselingandwellnesscenter.com if you're needing any more support, if you're needing any more guidance with regards to using these strategies for yourself or for your team or for your family or even for your partner, depending on who's needing it. So just send me an email on info@blisscounseling and wellnesscenter.com. And do not forget to go download this. It's a free guidebook for parents. You know, have some strategies with regards to summer as well too. And you could also check out our website as well too. We also have some other free resources as well too that will be good for you. That will also be good for your family, for your children as well too. So that is a wrap for me today, and thank you so much to all our viewers on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube. Thank you so much, and please do not forget to go subscribe to all our social media handles. Subscribe to us on YouTube, subscribe to our Instagram, and subscribe to our Facebook page as well. And if you're on LinkedIn, go there and go join our group so that where you can. And if you have not joined us so that you can be receiving our newsletter, please do so. Subscribe. I think we have that on social media as well. You can subscribe so that you can also get our newsletter and see how we can support you and your family so that you can enjoy it. I think we all need support sometimes, right? So reach out to us and let us know how we can support you. In the meantime, keep enjoying the summer. It's beautiful. Yeah, at least no rain for now, so it's beautiful. Have fun. It doesn't have to be expensive, right? It doesn't have to be expensive. There's so many places you can go. So have fun. From me to you, I bid you a good evening. I'll see you here 7 p.m. Central Time. Bye bye.